Hey everyone, so welcome to this month's newsletter. May, I was wondering what shall I speak about? Well, I published my book Drop Your Noise and I thought, there's a running theme since last week's Instagram post, which was on comparison. So I'd like to share a slogan in the book. It's the 20-second slogan of my book Drop Your Noise, and it goes a little bit like this. Don't compete, don't compare. It's important to be honest with yourself about your hidden agenda. Sometimes we may not even realize that we have one, or we may be reluctant to admit that feelings of jealousy or envy are at play. For example, have you ever felt it when others have a dream or a desire that looks similar to yours? The only difference is they are doing something about it. You may feel sneakily jealous or envious and start comparing your own to theirs, which may reflect as a way to downplay their unique values. Other times, we will look at another person's achievement and dismiss it by making remarks or giving unsolicited advice. Between these are many shapes that often come across like a competition match. But the truth is, everyone has their own unique needs and desires, even the most altruistic individuals. The key is tapping into them. So instead of diminishing others' joy to amplify the self importance or elevate one's own sense of inner pride, and then I go on to sharing the 6 ways you can do that. Comparison is something I struggled with for a very long time in my life. Even in my business, I felt I was being compared to at school and amongst my sisters. By constantly feeling compared to others, it was really a struggle to be and stand in my own shoes and stand for my own views. I was always worried about what would people think about me? What will people say if I had really shared what was on my mind? And when I did share what was on my mind, I was always told, "Oh, well, you're stubborn or you're assertive." There would always be some comment that made me very uncomfortable. So comparison for me was a real struggle for ages. And I wanted to have a different relationship. I wanted to let go. I didn't want that voice in my head constantly comparing myself to others. In fact, whenever I would talk about my issues or my situation to someone, I would notice that there was this need for this validation or acknowledgement or something like, yeah, you're going down the right road. So when I decided to cut away from the comparison, I needed to turn it around. And one of the way I did that was to apply the sense of having a mindset of consideration. Learning to consider alternatives was a healthier approach for me to say, okay, what does that look like if, and then I would ask myself to see it from someone else's lens, for example. Consideration is a powerful tool, especially in today's world that we find ourselves in. And the moral values between different societies are very different. And sometimes we may think that ours is more superior than someone else's. And by constantly comparing ourselves to one another, we are really losing sight of what do we really feel on the inside? What are our principles, our core values from within? And by constantly being compared or comparing ourselves to others, it really is a sense of insecurity because we are disconnected to trusting ourselves. And when we disconnect from trusting ourselves, we don't really know or have that sense of clarity on how to work with a situation or make a decision or how to be in a relationship, because all relationships require a different aspect or strength of ours. So, comparison, and when we turn it into consideration, it gives you the space to say, what if I saw things a little bit differently? What if I considered this? What would that person go through if? And by asking those questions, you stop staying in your head and thinking or making it more judgmental from within, self judgmental and judgmental of the other person. And by doing that, you're also creating a sense of belonging and inclusiveness. You're thinking of someone else, you're considering someone else. So you're not just saying that the way I see things is the right way, but you're allowing yourself to invite an alternative truth. And you can start with noticing little tiny phrases you use, like I think, or that should be, or it must be. But that's another word that's quite often used. Noticing the way you come across or how quick you are in giving advice to others based on your situation. You want to step back. Don't be too hasty in answering. Practice observing a situation first and ask yourself, am I weighing or speaking in comparison to my life and my situation? Because sometimes when you do that, then you can hold back from speaking. You give space to hear an alternative approach, and that's also consideration. So it's a small, digestible suggestion that I would like to offer you in this newsletter. I'm excited for the two guests who are going to be speaking at this month. One will be on accent bias, and one will also talk about what you see is not what is. And I enjoyed both these conversations. As always, I'm always feeling I learned so much from my guests. And I look forward to sharing it with you. Now, if you haven't followed before, this is your first time, my name is Kirti, and I really like to become friends with minds who are willing to share a different perspective. Invite us to think diverse or have a diverse thought. And if you have a diverse thought and you want to share it or you want me to talk about it on a podcast, do reach out, send me a message, and I look forward to connecting with you as well. Have a wonderful May. Take care.